which contains a very beautiful, magnificent cycle of mosaics, and it's very famous for the doors, for the gates. The eastern door is called the Gate of Paradise. It's considered one of the most important example of Renaissance sculpture, and it's called the gate. It was called the Gate of Paradise by Michelangelo itself because of its perfection and beauty. It's magnificent. Giotto Bell Tower, which is beside the cathedral, is a tricolor marble bell tower, from whose top the view is really spectacular. It's a height 85 meters, so it's quite high. And not so far from the center, because Florence is a very small, compact city. It's no sites are more than 20 minutes from the other. So it's very compact, small city, the center, of the town. And not too far from the religious center is the Piazza della Signoria, the civic, political center of the town, with the Palazzo Vecchio, the palace, with the crenellated tower dominating the town, with the Loggia dei Lanzi, the arcade, Renaissance arcade housing some beautiful statues, very important statues, original, genuine statues, not copies, by Benvenuto Cellini. First, among the most important is Benvenuto Cellini's Perseus, magnificent statue. And of course, near the Loggia is the Uffizi Gallery, our most important art gallery, with a huge collection of paintings, around 1,700 on display, and the same amount in the storage. And in the vicinity of Piazza della Signoria, I have not to miss the Ponte Vecchio, the picturesque bridge with on its sides the workshops, the jewelry stores. It's quite interesting. A Pitti Palace, our royal palace, was surrounded by a magnificent garden, Italian garden, Botanic garden, with artificial lakes, statues, little benches of flowers. It's quite, it's very, very nice. And all these monuments, in my opinion, corroborate the statement that Florence is really an open-air museum.
Checking it out before you check in on the John Guinn Travel Show on ukhealthradio.com. Sometimes you think you know the price of your holiday and you find out that you're wrong. This could be like when you're staying in America and you suddenly find out there's resort fees for all the facilities that the hotel provides, which you probably didn't use or didn't know about, and you definitely didn't know that you would have to pay for them, whether you used them or not. And with resort charges, apparently, if they're not told to you when you check in, you can say, you didn't tell me when I checked in, I refuse to pay, and you should be okay. And there's something similar around cities around Europe, because when you think about it, if you live in a city and work in a city and you're paying local taxes, it could be a bit annoying when people come in, visitors, tourists, come in, use all the facilities and don't contribute anything towards them. They only pay the hotel owners, which could be multinationals. They could be paying money with the restaurant owners, which could be multinationals and not local companies. So some extra money needs to be generated to pay for the upkeep of the city. So various cities around Europe are coming up with a tourist tax, and it's 1 or 2 or so euros per person per night. And you may not be aware of it when you book the hotel room online, depending on the website you used, but it's something you should always check and look into before you book. so you don't have a nasty surprise when you check out, when they say, oh, you owe us €15, €30 or whatever it is. And Florence is no different. Florence has a tourist tax, and we're now going to find out what it's used for. There's a tourist tax when you come here.
Yeah.
It's not just here, it's Rome as well, isn't it? Yeah. What does the money go towards?
Well, the municipal ordinance introducing this tax says that the money raised by the tourist tax shall be used for better, for improving tourist facilities, social services, and for the maintenance of monuments of the artistic sites of Florence, of course.
We have, yeah. And finally, in your opinion, what's the best time of year to come here?
Well, in my opinion, definitely the best time to visit Florence is spring. So in spring, early autumn, when it's not so hot, and like in summer, as you can realize, and figure out.
It's warm.
And the light is still perfect. So.
I'll have to come back in the spring.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Roberta. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for coming here.
You're listening to the John Guinn Travel Show on setclosesounds.org. You can contact the show via facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show or via Twitter at @holiday_hut. We've just heard from Roberta about visiting Florence, what you can see and do, and a bit of history about the place as well. And in a while I'll be speaking to Katrina from Rosetta Stone about learning a foreign language. To get to Florence, I flew with EasyJet from Luton to Pisa, which is around about an hour's taxi drive away. According to Skyscanner.net, the alternatives to get to Florence or Pisa from the UK are as follows. You can fly direct to Florence from Heathrow using Guinn airline, or you can go from London City using Air France and KLM. You have far more options to get into Pisa, which is a bigger airport. With Ryanair, you can fly from Glasgow, Edinburgh, Leeds Bradford, Liverpool, East Midlands, Bournemouth and Stansted. Jet2 fly from Leeds Bradford, Belfast International, Manchester and Newcastle. EasyJet, Luton, as I've already mentioned, also Bristol and Gatwick. Thomson fly from Gatwick, and finally British Airways fly from Heathrow and Gatwick. The trip to Florence was unusual for me because for the first time in 9 years I was travelling without representing a travel company or a travel show. So it meant I got to experience the hotel just like a normal tourist. We used an event management company to travel because my wife was awarded the trip as a bonus for her performance of her company last year. It seems strange for me to see that in the 9 years since I last used a travel company that travel companies haven't really moved forwards. They just give you a bit of paper saying, here's your flights, another bit of paper saying, here's your hotel, and the rest is up to you. But with the amount of information available on the internet, I'm surprised that more companies don't put nice little information packs together. It doesn't take long to figure out basic information for their chosen destinations. But there we go. I didn't quite leave everything in their hands because I chose the hotel myself. I rejected their original 2 suggestions because they were just too far away from everything and they weren't that great according to TripAdvisor. So we stayed at the Hotel Laurus al Duomo, which I'm sure you realise I've probably pronounced that incorrectly. It's Laurus, then Al, then Duomo. It is a small boutique hotel. There wasn't many rooms, but they were clean. The rooms were a bit small, but the location was excellent. You're so close to all the major sites, just a short stroll away. The hotel staff were really friendly, despite the fact I couldn't speak any Italian. Some of them could speak English, so we got through the check-in okay. And it was on a bed and breakfast basis. They had a nice little balcony where you could sit out in the mornings to see the rooftops in the local area across the end of the large dome. And also in the evenings it's opened up as a kind of a wine bar, so you can just sit and relax in the evening and have a few glasses of wine. Everything we asked the hotel to do was done quickly, without any fuss. We mentioned that we were vegans, and they very kindly made sure we had some soya milk in for my wife to have cups of tea. And also when we had slight problems, such as the toilet stopped flushing, it was fixed within half an hour of mentioning it. So a really good hotel, well worth checking out if you want to stay in Florence. Be close to the sights, stay somewhere small, and of course have great service. We didn't actually use the trip as an excuse to see all what Florence has to offer. It was just a chance to get away from everything and have a short break somewhere different, eat some great food, and just chill out for a few days. But if you are thinking of going to Florence to look at the sights, then you do need to plan ahead. You may feel that some travel companies are probably trying to take advantage of you or rip you off by saying, buy tickets with us now and beat the queues. But if you go there without any tickets, you could be queuing for a very long time before you get in. One of the galleries, it was 2 hours for people without tickets because they're only letting in 20 people every 20 minutes. Of course, having a ticket booked in advance doesn't mean you won't queue either, because there were queues of people with tickets still waiting to get in too. So if you're going to go and look at the sights, look at the paintings, look at the sculptures, you probably are best to travel in autumn or springtime, because July is just too hot to stand around queuing. As I'd already mentioned, we spent the whole time walking in between places, looking at the architecture, checking out the restaurants. But you can get on buses. There is a hop-on, hop-off bus. You can begin your tour from any stop. There are 3 different lines and 70 stops in total, apparently. Tickets are valid for 1, 2 or 3 days, and you just travel around Florence, getting on and off where you want, as and when you want to. Perhaps I should have used the hop-on, hop-off bus to get to Piazzale Michelangelo. It half killed me walking up the hill to get to the top. The views were worth it, but walking up those slopes and steps in the mid-30s, I did look a bit tired when I got to the top. You're listening to The Travel Show with John Guinn on ukhealthradio.com. Useful websites and the name of the hotel will be put at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show, so you can find out more about Florence and the hotel I stayed in, which was very good. I have to be honest, the rooms are tiny, so if an American reviewed this hotel on TripAdvisor, they would say the rooms are extremely small. But that didn't matter because the location and the service was excellent. But anyway, I'll put the name on my John Guinn Travel Show Facebook page. My last guest on this week's show is Chris Mann from London Helicopter. When I was at the World Travel Market, I picked up loads of press releases from the press centre. Terribly exciting for me. I normally go as a trade person, but this time I was going as press. But the London Helicopter had a press release which was different to the majority of the other ones I picked up. It had contact numbers on it. I was interested in wanting to know more about London Helicopter because I do like helicopter trips, and I didn't have time to get to their stand, but it didn't matter because unlike around about 99% of the other press releases, I had a way of contacting them outside of the show. I've been on a few helicopters. One was at the Grand Canyon, which was a great trip, and I've also been on the Bedfordshire Police helicopter. I used to be a civilian working for the police force, and you could apply to spend a shift with the air team on the helicopter. It was based at Luton Airport when I did it. Unfortunately, if you can see my photos, you know that I'm not a small chap. I was on the fat shift, and I took the helicopter over the maximum weight, so I couldn't go out on the first shout. And you never know how many shouts you're going to get a day. So that could have been the one and only one, and I could have missed it because between all of us, we were all carrying a little bit too much weight. But luckily, there was some more, including a incident at Stevenage. And you would be surprised how quick you can get from Luton Airport to Stevenage. Also surprised was the fact that the jets coming in had priority over the police emergency. So the pilot had to wait until air traffic control gave him the go-ahead to go across the runways to get away. But anyway, I'm waffling on again, as I'm prone to do. I spoke to Chris a couple of days ago to find out more about what the London Helicopter experience is. Whenever I've flown over London in the going to Heathrow, which Chris mentions during his chat, it is exciting to see different bits and pieces of London which you recognise. But anyway, here's a chat I had with Chris, and we're going to find out about London Helicopter.
London Helicopter is a company that's based at the heliport to provide sightseeing flights over London for